One of the great things about LiveCode is that the LiveCode IDE is actually coded in LiveCode. This means that if there are options or functions that are not there which you would like, then you have the option yourself to add them, and it's easier than you might think. So let's get on and start hacking the LiveCode IDE. Hi, I'm Andy Piddock, and this channel is all about making cool stuff and experimenting with LiveCode. If you don't already have a copy of LiveCode, you can grab a copy of the open source version, community version at livecode.org. Alternatively, during the COVID-19 period, LiveCode are offering the indie version of LiveCode, which allows you to protect your code and has features that you won't find in the community version on a pay-what-you-want basis. To get this, go to the main livecode.com website and click on the Learn More button to the right of LiveCode and COVID-19 in the banner at the top of the page. If you like what you see in this video, please give me a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss out on future projects and videos. So let's get on then. Now, on Windows, I've noticed that sometimes the project browser doesn't fully stay in sync with what you're doing in the rest of the IDE. And I often find I need to go and close down and start up the project browser to get the syncing back. You have to go up to the Tools menu and then select the project browser menu item, close your project browser down, then go back to the Tools menu and open it up again. It would be a lot easier to have a button in the menu bar to act as a toggle. One click turns the project browser on, one click turns it off. So, in this IDE hacking session, we will be adding a button to the IDE. So in this video, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to code a new button, which will be copied to the LiveCode menu bar, which will act as a simple toggle for the project browser. And the easiest way to do this is to actually code the button in a separate stack. And then when we've got it all working as we want it to be, we can then simply copy this over to the LiveCode menu bar. So let's create a new stack. It doesn't have to be too big, so we just make it quite small. And we're going to name this stack Project Toggle. And I'm going to save this. Save as. And for ease, I'm just going to add it to my desktop. Okay. Next, let's add a button. This will be our toggle button, which we're going to copy across to the LiveCode IDE. So we'll just do a right click and open the property editor. And we'll call this button, what should we call it? Button PB toggle. Okay, and this needs to be quite small, so it's going to be fitting up here somewhere, to be decided. So let's give this a label of just P for project browser, and we'll set the size to something like 16. It's probably good. 16 by 16. Yep, that's quite nice. I'm just going to Control S to save again. Right, let's close down the property inspector. So what do we need next? Next we need to find out what actually makes the project browser toggle on and off. So we need to look at the stacks in the LiveCode IDE. However, if you look at the project browser at the moment, you'll notice that those stacks are not visible. But we can make them visible by going to Edit and Preferences, and then in the General tab we just need to toggle on the LiveCode UE elements appear in List of Stacks. Bit of a mouthful. And there we are. So we need to scroll down until we find Rev MenuBar, which is here. And we'll just expand that a little bit, and we'll expand the card as well. And you can see in here we have a group called Rev MenuBar, which we'll also expand. And here are all the buttons along the top of the menu bar. So what we need is the tools. So let's find that. Tools, and let's have a look in the script of that button and see what there is. Okay, here we can see it's just a menu pick message, which when sent will send it to the, would also send the selected item, which will be sent to the tools button or the tools menu of the menu bar. So let's just copy this for reference. Close that down. Let's get rid of that for the moment. Okay, and right, probably I have problems. I know it can be a problem on Windows that if you use the message box, which is what you'd normally use for this, it can slow down the IDE. On my systems, I have two computers, this computer which I'm doing this video on, and a laptop. Directly I start using the message box, I find that Windows starts to really crawl, to the point where you're having 2 or 3 seconds delay between each action that you perform. So you may start typing something in the script editor, nothing happens, so you start typing again, and then 2 or 3 seconds later you might find you've typed things twice. It's a real pain. It's something that LiveCode needs to sort out. I think the problem they have is the fact that it doesn't seem to happen on every Windows system, but unfortunately it does on mine. Anyway, that aside, because of that, what I'm going to do is we're going to put another button on in our stack to sort of act like a pseudo message box. So let's click on that, do a right click, edit script, and we need to put a mouse up handler in there, and I'm going to copy across the code that was in the tools menu button for reference, and I've just put 2 dashes in front of it or 2 hyphens to comment it out. So what do we need to put in here? We need to try and replicate this. So we're going to need to send menu pick and the item that we want to call, which is project browser. So that's and that needs a space in it, so we're going to concatenate that with a double ampersand, which will automatically add the space and the concatenation. Project browser. Project browser. And we're going to send it to button, it was tools, and it's going to be of stack rev menu bar, isn't it? Rev menu bar. Okay, so let's just apply that. So this should send a menu pick message with project browser in the message to button tools of our menu bar stack. So let's go into run mode and just see if that works. It should work. Send menu pick and project browser. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah. To button tools. Oh, it's meant to project browser. Ah, it's 2 words, of course. There we go. That's the problem. Apply that and try again. Yeah, there we go. So, come back. Yep. In our stack, we now have a button which acts as a toggle for the project browser. Okay, I'm actually coding this in the wrong button, so let me just copy all that out, apply that so it's taken out, and put it back in here. I knew I shouldn't have added the other button until I'd actually done this. Anyway, so let's just apply, and yeah, there we go. So what we need to do now is to code the copy button. So Control E to open up the script of the button. We will have a mouse app handler, and this is simply going to say copy copy button btnpb toggle is what we called it, of this stack to stack with menu bar. Okay, so that will copy the button over, and now we need to set the position of the button. So we can say set the top left of btn and the name of our button to, and we said it was 600 along, and let's try something like 4 down. Okay, let's apply that, go into run mode and see what happens. Okay, let's stop, because I've got to say, so at the top left of button, blah, blah, blah. Of stack. We haven't referenced which stack we're using. Okay, that's better. So let's try again. And there we have it. That actually looks okay there. And we'll just check that it still works. Super. Yeah, so that's it. We now have our button copied. Where's our button here gone? Did I just delete that? Okay, it shouldn't disappear from here. Let's just go and have a look in the project browser. Here we go. Oh, it's still there. I know what happened because I didn't reference the menu bar stack before. It did the positioning of the current stack that we were in. So now this button is over here somewhere, 600 pixels along. In fact, if we extend our stack, you should be able to see it. There we go. So let me just drag him back. Okay, so we now have our copied button on the menu bar, which toggles nicely the project browser. Job done? Well, not quite. Do we really want to, every time we start up LiveCode, have to find our toggle stack, open it up, and then copy across? We could, but it's not the best thing to do. So how about turning our stack into a plugin? Whoa, a plugin, yeah, I know. So how do we go about doing that? Actually, it's really, really easy. So let's just make sure this is saved again. And I'm just going to, in the preferences, turn off all our LiveCode stacks and elements. So what do we need to do? Basically, all we really need to do is to copy this stack over to our plugins directory. However, before we do that, we could actually restructure the code a little and add a couple of extra lines just to do a little bit of work when the stack opens and closes. So, okay, so what we're going to do is create an openStack handler in the stack itself. So on openStack, and this will fire every time that the stack opens. And in here, we're going to copy our button code. And we're going to add a couple of extra lines in here. Which is going to be set the destroy mode of this. Now, I'm not going to use this stack. I found with plugins, normally if you're referencing the stack you're working in, you can say this stack or even me. But with plugins, I found it's really important to explicitly reference the stack we are referring to. So we're going to do that, stack, and we called it project toggle. Set the destroy mode of stack project toggle to true. And what that will do is when the stack closes down, it will make sure that it's actually removed from memory as well. Quite often when you close a stack down in LiveCode, although it won't show in the project browser, it can still be lurking in memory. So it's really important to first set the destroy mode of the stack to true, and then if we go into the properties of the stack, make sure destroy stack and destroy window are also clicked. Okay, there's one more line we're going to add to this, just one, which is close stack project toggle. And I'm going to save that. So basically, once our button's been copied, well, you could put some code in there to check that, but I can't really see how it failed. So we'll just make sure that this stack is closed, basically, and again refer to it explicitly because it's a plugin. Okay, with that, our plugin, believe it or not, is done. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, let's just save this. I'm going to keep the copy button on here, simply because if we decide to make changes to our script, or we want to add new controls to the menu bar, we can just go in and test it within this button without having to fire the openStack message. Yep. So next, what do we need to do? We need to copy this to our plugins folder. And to find out where that is, you go to Edit, Preferences again, and to Files and Memory. And at the bottom here, you will find the location of your plugins folder. If you can't see it, just highlight the code a little bit and drag along. You can't see the end of it. Okay, so let's find out where that is. That's here. And these are all the plugins I have installed at the moment. We can actually close down the preferences now. And we need to open my desktop folder. And I'm just going to copy our new plugin across. So we can now see that our new plugin has been added to our plugins folder. So I can get rid of these. However, if you look at the plugins menu, the drop down, our plugins menu, you will find it's not actually listed. Now, unfortunately, whenever you make a change to a plugin, LiveCode needs to be restarted again. So let's just do that. Actually, what I'll do, let's just close our plugins toggle. We've already saved it. Save. This button will not be saved on the menu bar, as a menu bar is actually set to can't modify, and we don't really want that to happen. It's not really a good idea to hard code any changes to the IDE. One of the reasons being is that if you upgrade or if you get a new version of LiveCode, of course you've got to go in and hard code it again to the new version. If you use a plugin, the settings are copied across between each version, so your plugin will still be available and will still do the job for you. So let's close down. Okay, that's all done. I just cut out a little section of the video where that was starting up because it takes a little while. Okay, so now we go to development and look in our plugins. We can see our project toggle is here. It automatically starts up when selected, puts our toggle button on the menu bar where we set it wanted to be. It works, opens project browser, and you see our project toggle stack isn't listed here because the parameters were set to destroy, which doesn't actually destroy the stack, it just makes sure it's not in memory. So again, we can make this a little bit easier. If we go and look at our plugins menu again, right at the bottom in the plugin settings, and we choose our nice new plugin. At the moment, it's manually started by being chosen from the plugins menu. What we can do is set it to start up automatically when LiveCode starts up. Now, you've guessed it, we have to shut LiveCode down again. So, here we go. And you can see already as LiveCode started up, our plugin's been activated And we have our toggle button already in the menu bar. Perfect. So that's it, job done really. So not only have we learned how to do a simple hack on the LiveCode IDE, but also how to make a plugin and have LiveCode start this plugin for us. It's fantastic. So if you like what you see in this video, please give me a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss out on future projects and videos. I would also be interested to hear about plugins you create as a result of watching this video, or if you try this one out, please let me know in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Stay safe, stay well. See you next time.